While our eyes have been on today's high-stakes testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee, your hands have been on the keyboard, submitting hundreds of comments to our Facebook live streams of the testimony. Hello, everyone. I'm Lindsay Mills, and thank you for joining us on this special edition of News Center Now on Facebook Live.
Yeah, I'm Lee Goldberg. Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, the first woman to publicly accuse Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault, answered question for hours today. This all before Judge Kavanaugh took the stand to defend his reputation. We're taking a closer look at your reactions to the testimony as it has been playing out in real time.
This has destroyed my family and my good name.
Supreme Court Justice nominee Brett Kavanaugh in his opening statements responding to the testimony of his accuser, Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, saying he never sexually assaulted anyone, calling sexual assault horrific. Dr. Ford testified first before the Senate Judiciary Committee.
I am here today not because I want to be. I am terrified. I am here because I believe it is my civic duty to tell you what happened to me while Brett Kavanaugh and I were in high school.
On Facebook, hundreds of you joined the conversation by commenting on our live streams of the hearing. Stacy writes, "She may have been assaulted, but it wasn't him. This is political." Abby writes, "How was something that happened when Mr. Kavanaugh was a teenager have anything to do with his ability to serve on the Supreme Court now?" Maureen responds, "This matters. I want Supreme Court justices who establish and interpret the law of this land to be of the highest personnel." And Cynthia writes, "Most people that have been molested don't speak up. They feel ashamed, embarrassed. Some feel like they did something wrong. I personally feel the FBI should investigate the charges."
The instantaneous nature of information today removes our opportunity to take the time that these complex issues require to think about.
Jeannie Hay, the Dean of Arts and Sciences at University of New England, says the combination of a 24-hour news cycle and social media have changed the way we watch and engage in an event like this. Before Dr. Ford began her testimony Thursday morning, there was measurable evidence that people were interested in hearing what she had to say. Twitter's communications manager telling NBC News, at one point, all 10 of the top trending terms on Twitter were a rotating set of words related to the hearing. And Google showed similar spikes in interest, with 24 of the top 25 real-time search trends having something to do with the hearing. Kavanaugh has said he has no plans of removing himself from the confirmation process. And it's important to note survivors are sharing their own personal stories amid Dr. Christine Blasey Ford's testimony earlier today.
Yeah, if you or somebody you know has been sexually assaulted, there is help available. Text or call the main sexual assault helpline at 1-800-871-7741. In other news today, authorities are actively looking for a missing skydive instructor in the town of Lebanon. The incident happened about 2 o'clock this afternoon.
News Center Maine's Shannon Moss is at Skydive New England, where the search is underway. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, Lindsay and Lee. Skydive New England is about probably a quarter of a mile down this road. That is where Maine State Police and Maine game wardens are right now coordinating this search effort. Also along K9s. And if you just missed it, but you could hear state police planes, helicopters constantly crisscrossing this area looking for this missing skydive instructor. Let's talk about how this happened. We did receive some word from a spokesperson at Skydive New England, and she says that around 2 o'clock today, after an uneventful free fall, a student skydiver landed without his tandem instructor. So the student landed without any incident at the airport, the parachute landing, but the instructor was nowhere to be found. So, of course, that is when authorities were called. That is when the search started. Again, we have planes, we have helicopters, we have canines out there. We do not know the instructor's name. They're not releasing that information at this point. We do know that he is a very experienced skydive instructor. He's been doing this for a long time. And again, the student is fine, and he's been talking with police. He's been talking with people at Skydive New England to try to figure out exactly what happened. Now, going back a little bit, There have been several incidents here over the years dating back till 2002 of severe injuries, minor injuries, and also a death. That was in 2002. But according to the spokesperson, they do about 20,000 skydives a year. So if you put that into perspective. So right now, this search does continue. We'll, of course, keep you updated and let you know what is happening, as, of course, searchers hope to find him soon. And people at Skydive New England are hoping for the best. Lee and Lindsay, send it back to you.
All right, Shannon Moss, thank you very much. Wow, that is bizarre. Hopefully they can find him and
they find something,
figure out where he is. Obviously, lots of people looking, so keep an eye out for that. All right, we've been keeping an eye on the sky today. Beautiful today. Today was nice, right?
It was. This is like what people picture fall as being like, even though it doesn't often work out this way. But nice. 70 for a high today in Portland, 68 in Wiscasset, 67 in Bangor, and 69 in Portsmouth. Dew points way down. That was the biggest difference between yesterday and today. Well, that and of course the amount of sunshine, but dew points now into the 40s and even 30s across northern Maine. We'll stay on the dry side all the way through the weekend before perhaps seeing humidity return for mid next week. Radar's clean. There's that front that came through last night. Wasn't that impressive as far as severe storms. There were a couple of thunderstorms, but the models went berserk on this and it really just didn't turn out to be that big a deal. I guess that's obviously generally good news. Here comes some clouds, high thin ones coming in from the west and southwest. So tonight we cloud up and then a couple of showers for tomorrow. Tomorrow kept going downhill in the models. Originally it looked like a nice day as of Monday, and then Tuesday we said, some more clouds, and then yesterday we were like, maybe it's going to rain. It was just a piece of precipitation to the south that is now going to move in. So clouds thicken tonight. Temperatures stay in the 50s and 40s in the mountains. And then a couple of showers start moving in tomorrow morning. And again, those showers look heaviest over southern Maine, over York and Cumberland County, continuing through around noon or so. And then we should be able to clear those out by the afternoon. There'll be a much lesser chance of precipitation into the mountains and across northern Maine. Aroostook County, for example, will likely be sunny through most of the day. And then we roll into the weekend. Guys, good news is weekend still looks good and dry. We'll talk about that and how we could return to some warmth next week in a few minutes.
All right, we'll definitely take warm weather. Thank you very much, Mr. Carson. So, court documents revealed that a relationship between a teacher and a student at Pine Tree Academy involved messaging on apps such as Snapchat and Signal.
Earlier this year, a former Kennebunk High School teacher, Jill LaMontagne, was found not guilty of any criminal charges related to communication she had with a former student via text, but the district superintendent did not allow her to return.
So Chris Costa spent the day looking into this and what kind of policies schools have about these types of interactions. Chris?
Yeah, Lee and Lindsay, each district sets its own policies about talking to kids through social media. We want to hear from you right now. Should teachers be allowed to talk with kids one-on-one through social media? You can go to pulse.newscentermaine.com or open our mobile app, and you can send in your comments on Facebook Live while you're watching. The overwhelming message is the same. Keep it appropriate and about school business only. Some districts encourage texting students while others prohibit it.
And there has to be boundaries.
In Auburn, Superintendent Katie Grondin instructs teachers not to friend students on Facebook.
There's a teacher line and a student line, and you want to keep it on a professional level.
While Twitter accounts for extracurricular activities like sports are common, Grondin says school staff use other social media like Google Classroom or the Remind app to talk with students about schoolwork specifically.
There is really no need to be on Facebook page with a student or Snapchatting with a student. That, to me, is not necessary when we have other avenues.
In Old Orchard Beach, similar policies exist. Don't use Facebook or Snapchat for any private matter or to become friends with a student.
If they're using it as an educational tool or as a method of communication, then it's appropriate as far as we're concerned. That's the line. We expect appropriate communication with our students, whether it's verbally, whether it's through writing, or whether it's through social media.
Superintendent John Suddy says, in some cases, using a messaging-based form of communication for school business only can even help teachers.
It's safer to communicate that way, in my opinion, because then it's all down in writing, and there are no questions about what's being said or isn't said. It's even safer than being behind closed doors with kids.
What about kids who are confiding in a teacher, sharing personal problems they feel the teacher can help with?
We do have to be the eyes and ears of things that a student might be struggling with. We also need to be communicating about that.
Kennebunk High School recently adopted new policies, and other schools in the state are in the process of crafting more detailed rules about teachers and kids communicating on social media. We followed up with Jill LaMontagne by phone today. She thinks the new rules at the high school are too strict. She agrees that teachers need to maintain a student-teacher relationship, but she says using texting or social media apps are the ways to connect with kids where they are right now. Lee and Lindsay.
All right, Chris Costa, thank you very much for that.
All right, several good That's So Maine posts from the week coming in. We're going to take a look now. I love that open we have.
I know, that is cool.
It's upbeat. Okay, Regenerated Electric has this post from Levant. Some great scenery there.
Wow, look at that.
I know, look at the
It's
clouds.
Like so much farmland.
It could be like a painting.
It really could. If a picture paints, no. Susan Spoon checking in from the top of Mount Battle in Camden. Some great smiles on those faces. So that's Mount Batty, not Mount Battle. That's an I, not an L. I got it. So anyway, it's a beautiful picture. So well done. Thank you very much.
And Stumped, Jeremy Carter taking this photo of the apple on the tree stump. All of these posts featuring one of our favorite hashtags, of course. That's So Maine. Some good depth effect going on there.
If you see anything, you come across something, that is so Maine, send it to us. I promise to read it correctly with the I, not the L.
Sure.
And send them to us. That's So Maine. Just use the hashtag. We'll find it. We'll throw it on TV. Good
love
stuff.
It. Thanks, guys.
All right. The Donut Boy. It's a thing. Arrived in Maine today. A 10-year-old boy named Tyler Karach is on a mission to cover all 50 states to thank law enforcement officers by providing donuts.
Tyler made 2 stops in Maine today, one in Brunswick at the Knox County Sheriff's Office. Tyler says he's doing this as a way to thank officers for protecting the country and has almost reached all 50 states. He does chores to raise money to pay for the donuts, but also gets donations and sponsors along the way.
Ohio State University with a major facepalm on Twitter today that did not go unnoticed, even though we had a super important hearing on the Hill today. Now, ahead of Ohio State's matchup at Penn State this Saturday, a message of silence with the caption, "Silence the white noise." Here it is. A spokesperson for the athletic department told ESPN it's the same message they shared 2 years ago when they had another big game at Penn State. Fans there have plans to wear white, thus the white noise. So why is this not a good look? Well, head coach Urban Meyer was recently suspended for how he handled a situation with a former assistant coach. That coach was accused of domestic violence by his ex-wife, who says Meyer and others in the department did not help her and tried to squash her claims. A university investigation found Meyer talked about deleting old texts on the same day he was out on administrative leave this summer, which he denies. The investigation also found he incorrectly answered questions about the abuse allegations at a press conference. So that's a lot of trying to stay silent on all levels. So when you associate silence with the Buckeyes after that, Twitter's going to tell you this ain't it, Chief. And earlier this afternoon, they finally deleted the graphic after all of that criticism and tweeted this. As we have done in the past and in preparation for Saturday's game, we issued a message to our fans via social media outlets. The message has been interpreted in ways we absolutely did not intend, and we have removed it from our channels. We understand why people were critical. But then they deleted that tweet too. So, Lee Goldberg, what say you?
I say whoever's in charge of social media at Ohio State is looking for a new job, because that is not good. Job openings in Columbus, Ohio. If you guys are interested, to go apply to Ohio State.
I have not seen any additional tweet in response to the deleted apology or any explanation. So something's going down there.
Oh, it's the world we live in. Thank you.
Is it bad that whenever I hear Ohio State, I think the Buckeyes, and I think of this treat. Have you ever had a Buckeye before?
So good.
It's so good. It's like a peanut butter ball wrapped in chocolate.
Yes.
Oh
I
gosh.
know it was called that, but
I
that's
was
really good.
yeah, I was listening to our Digital Diva, but then I just all of a sudden had this craving for Buckeyes.
Which brings us back to Donut
Yeah,
Boy.
exactly.
Which brings us, how cool was that? But
I know.
So that reminds me, I mean, so just over the summer, we had the little girl who I think I did the story on, who was going around to hug a police officer in every single state. So how it's amazing to see kids learning at an early level the importance of what law enforcement can play in their communities, and to feel it's important enough to give hugs to everybody, to do donuts. And thank you to the parents or the guardians, whoever's schlepping these kids all over the place, to make that kind of happen as well.
You were there the day that she arrived arrived in Portland and South Portland.
Yeah.
What were the officers' reactions like?
I mean, they were genuinely touched. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, a kid's coming to hug us. Like, I mean, officers had come in on their days off to just be there, to be a part of it, and to, I mean, when you're being appreciated for what you do, especially when right now it's a profession that's having trouble getting people to come through the door, they're declining numbers all across the country in law enforcement. So to see that appreciation at such a young age that still believes in the old values that we all grew up with, that police officers and law enforcement are such a huge, important job in our communities, I think they just really appreciate it. So it was nice. It was nice to see.
Very sweet.
Yeah, it was cool.
Okay, I'm wondering if you saw this video on Facebook. Okay, me too. You guys have to see this. A wild video that we found, and I'm sure many of you have probably already seen this.
So we call it seal slaps kayaker with octopus. Like, that's pretty much what happens. So this guy's just kayaking. He's obviously got a GoPro there to get a shot of himself kayaking. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the seal shows up carrying an octopus and whacks that young man in the head. I mean, that is really unbelievable.
The first time I watched this over and over and over again, I just felt so uncomfortable because octopus are kind of like, to me, freaky. Like, like jellyfish are my. I'm so afraid of jellyfish. Octopus is up there too. I mean.
But the guy was unfazed. Like, I would have freaked out, tipped the kayak. Like, I would have been a mess. But he was kind of just laughing, like, ha ha ha! Look, a seal hit me with an octopus. Like, it happens all the time.
Right.
He was way too nonchalant.
All caught on camera too.
Yeah. Imagine everything's caught on camera these days. Okay, this pains me to say. It's a big day for gamers all across the world because Season 6 of Fortnite, I'll never get my kid out of the basement, available to play today. Lots of people are happy because they're playing a new season that has a bunch of different features from the previous one. In fact, there are changes to the map, a new item that you can make invisible, and so much more.
They're also testing out crossplay across PlayStation 4, Android, iOS, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, Microsoft Windows, and Mac operating systems. I could tell the dad in you was speaking there.
He's never leaving the basement, ever.
No Fortnite detox in his future?
No, it's just got worse.
Yeah.
But
right.
Dad,
we want to take a quick look too at our Pulse poll.
So let's move on.
Should teachers be allowed to talk with kids one-on-one through social media? 80% of you saying no. No way. And of course, join the conversation right now. We're on YouTube Live. We're on Facebook Live. The entire newscast is, for the most part, as a lot of you are watching News Center Maine for the Kavanaugh testimony that's continuing right now. It's been going on since about 10:30, I think, is when they got underway this morning.
Yeah. All right. Our next story. Bring some tissues for this one. It's not a great one, but it's an important one to tell. Imagine, as a parent, your worst nightmare, your child comes down with cancer. For a family from Saco, this is a nightmare that they have not just had to live once, they've now had to live twice. These are the Littlefields.
Why do you guys love tacos so much?
Sarah Littlefield has spent a lot of time reading books from a hospital bed to her son Max. Too much time. Max, who will be 3 years old in December, finished cancer treatments in March of 2018. After that, 3 glorious, relatively worry-free months. Last June, routine follow-up scans showed 3 new tumors. A new treatment plan was put in place last month.
As hard as it is to be back with everyone, it's also amazing to be back with everyone because I feel like they know us and know Max so well. That the treatment and the care that he receives from Maine Children's Cancer Program, Farm Barbara Bush Children's Hospital is really unparalleled.
The deflating news of Max's relapse may have knocked his support team down, but nowhere near out. Team Maximus Strength geared up for yet another battle with this unequivocally unfair disease.
He's 2.5, and he can tell me when he needs anti-nausea meds. So he's 2.5 and he should be on the playground, but we can't because he's not healthy enough.
This Sunday is the Maine Marathon. Sarah has put together a team to raise money and awareness for the Maine Children's Cancer Program. Her team has 22 members.
Honestly, I thought a few people might sign up this year since it's the second year we're doing it, and I was pleasantly surprised that 21 folks decided to join our team. So. Filled with a lot of gratitude.
Right?
Because of his relapse, when Max finishes this round of treatment, there will be celebration, but it will be tempered.
Scanxiety, as we parents call it, is real and it's much greater now because it's very realistic that this is the trajectory that we're on, that he's cancer-free and then not, and cancer-free and then not. We need national funding to support research. Why is this happening, and how can we improve the treatment? How can we make sure that kids who are suffering from cancer aren't having lifelong, lasting side effects? We need money. We need money for more research.
And for more about Max and how you could possibly help his family out, just learn more about this awesome kid, there's more information. Just go to the Now section of our website. You'll see the story, Maximus Strength. Aww. And so you'll see more about Max there.
The best.
Yeah, so the marathon is Sunday that they're going to run in for Maine Children's Cancer Program. Obviously, the Dempsey Challenge is this weekend, so we need weather. So this guy, what weather. Can you provide for us, sir? We need the weather.
The weekend looks good. Yeah. The weekend looks good. You know, the only day that was two things. One, the thunderstorms last night luckily weren't that bad. There were some thunderstorms. The other is that tomorrow went downhill. We got showers in there, and we didn't have them as of Tuesday, which doesn't happen to us often in this day and age, but
sneaky storm.
A bit of a down. Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't winter. That's for sure, because you'd be like, well, there's going to be 2 inches of snow. Sorry about that. Yeah. Instead, it's just showers. But today was gorgeous. 60s right now in most spots, mid-60s across the interior, 64 in Rockland, 64 in Bar Harbor, and the water temperature oscillating between 59 and 62 as it begins its descent. Usually it's relatively warm late August and through mid-September, and then starts getting cool after that because of those cool nights. Current dew points are nice and crisp. That's a big difference between yesterday and today. Dew points yesterday were in the 70s, which, as we established, was the third latest we've been that humid. Well, now dew points back down into the 40s, 50s, and 30s, so in that comfortable, refreshing zone. And that's what will stay tomorrow and into the weekend. So a nice fall air mass in place all the way through Saturday and Sunday. It's kind of interesting because last night, at a little past midnight, we had a dew point of 70 still on the board. So technically, we bumped up one spot into the latest humid day. So now it's 3rd and 4th place over the past 2 days. And we still would have to get to the 29th to beat the old record, but I think there's a chance of that. We could have dew points over 70 next week, believe it or not, which would be pretty crazy because, of course, we'll be into October there. All right, radar looking pretty clean. We've got this batch of rain. That's the batch that the models just underestimated for the past couple of days. And so there was always some rain to our south for tomorrow, but it was going to stay down across Massachusetts. Now it looks like it will get into southern Maine and into the mid-coast as it kind of scrapes on by. So that's the change in that forecast. You can see the high, thin clouds coming in from the southwest. So tonight we'll have those clouds. They'll insulate us. Temperatures won't drop all that much overnight tonight, 50s and some 40s. So the clouds spill in. Tonight's a nice night overall, though, much nicer than last evening was. And then here comes that little area of rain tomorrow, starting in the morning and getting into the mid-coast here through the mid-morning hours, and then should be offshore by the afternoon. It's worth noting that if you're in the mountains and across northern Maine, you probably won't see any rain at all. And in fact, you might see quite a bit of sunshine being far enough away from that slug of precipitation. That moves offshore through Friday night, and then by Saturday we're partly cloudy. We start cool. We get into the low 70s Saturday afternoon, and then Sunday is a nice bright day as well, starting in the 30s though, and getting into the 60s by the afternoon. So overall, a great weekend, nice, dry, and comfortable. Rainfall amounts here don't look big when you talk about precipitation. 0.2s pretty much across the board, so that'll just be that little scrape of rain coming through tomorrow. It'll be more of a nuisance than anything. They say that about me, guys. Just more of a nuisance than anything. Just seeing if you're paying attention. I think it's a long.
I'm always looking for your banner graphic.
Oh yeah. This is a Todd one. It's way too like normal. Crisp morning. Boring. All right, so Sunday and Monday morning we're going to be chilly into the 30s and 40s. So overall, good forecast for the weekend. We kind of get sandwiched on either side of it with some showers, but that's okay. And then, as I mentioned yesterday, there's a chance we could be pretty mild mid next week. And what's going to be interesting about Tuesday and Wednesday specifically is that we could be humid as well. So that's why I said we still have a chance to beat the record for latest humid day. Because I think next week it's not a lock, but the chance of getting to 70 for a dew point, which just doesn't happen in October.
And yesterday, it was like September 29th or something. So if we hit October, anything, we're good.
We got it. And
I'm really competitive, so I want to win.
No, I know this about you. It's fitting because it's been the most hours of that humidity, the most days of that humidity, so we might as well have the last day too.
Complete the trifecta.
We'll see.
For all you,
we don't have commercials anymore. So what are we doing in between here?
No commercials. We're just
you guys got a plan?
We need you to dance.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are continuing our Facebook Live newscast right now. A lot of you talking to us on Facebook right now. Someone says that they'd prefer to just watch us right now on television. They want their local news, but this Kavanaugh hearing, the testimony is going to continue momentarily. We are staying with that, and we are going to continue the next 90 minutes right here on Facebook Live. And for more on what's coming up on News Center Maine at 5:30, Cindy Williams joins us with a preview. Hey, Cindy.
Hi, guys. A man accused, or actually convicted of manslaughter for shooting his girlfriend's estranged husband is going to prison. Antoine Bethea was sentenced today. We'll tell you how long he's going to spend in prison. And these are long days for people up in the county. Hannah Deneen takes a look at the potato harvest in Aroostook County from a kid's point of view. It's all ahead at 5:30. Back to you.
Thank you very much. We'll take a look at our Pulse poll. We've been asking you guys since the show started, should teachers be allowed to chat with kids one-on-one through social media?
88%
so
no.
This is a resounding no. 88% of you say absolutely not. You do not want that. 12% of you are okay with it if it's for school-related activities only. We had you guys have been commenting as well. Storm or Stormy, and I apologize, I don't know how you pronounce that last either. School needs to be conducted at school. So, in fact, the overwhelming majority of the comments are saying that no, they don't feel like that's an appropriate way to communicate. With obviously children in every aspect of school at this point in my life. I see the value. I see Superintendent Suddy have talked about this is where the kids are. This is kind of how we get them. So we could send them an email. It might be 3-4 days before they get it. And there's some truth to that. My own 18-year-old gets emails from his college and he's just like, I don't check my email. But if you texted him, he'd get it immediately. If you sent him a Facebook message, he'd get it immediately. Chris, this was a story you were doing today. Okay. So
what are they saying? I want to check.
Well, a lot of people are saying school should be in school. It's kind of along with the polls. So.
Okay.
Anyway.
So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. We had the conversation actually in our newsroom this morning, and as a coach of young athletes, cell phones, text messages, the way I communicate with a lot of them, but the parents are always on those message threads.
I think what
as well.
Superintendent Suddy said, it really, for me, hit home.
Yeah.
If it's appropriate, doesn't matter whether it's in person, on the phone, text, as long as it's appropriate communication, that's really what matters more than how you actually get those messages across.
So I heard a very interesting perspective.
Isaac's yelling at us.
Oh, hi.
We're going to get to your perspective in 1 second.
Not mine.
But first, well, you're the one you heard. But first, squirrels in brain drops this week.
Yes.
Take a look at this.
Several times over the past week or so, I've been sitting at home only to have my power flicker off and on in about a second. Several of you wrote into me and I realized I wasn't alone. You ready for the reason for these quick power outages across Maine? Squirrels. Now, if you've been outside in the past month or so, you may have noticed we have quite a few squirrels this season. That's actually due to a bumper crop last year of their food supply. The bottom line, though, is these squirrels can run back and forth on our power lines with no problems most of the time. You see crows sitting on them all the time, right? However, the issue occurs when the squirrel connects the line to a path to the ground via its tail or its paws. Now, all of a sudden, it's completing a circuit down to the ground. In that short moment, the squirrel is electrocuted and something called a recloser in the power line stops power for a half second. It tries again to see if the power line is clear, and if it is, power is restored. Now, most of the time when the squirrels are electrocuted, it does unfortunately resolve itself quickly. And so you get these half-second to 1 second power outages. So the next time your lights flicker, pour one out for our furry friends.
Oh, Snoop Dogg!
Did we talk about juice yesterday?
D-O-double-G.
Two G's or one?
It's 2 G's. Okay. Very important. I thought that was interesting, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
And the more I looked into it, it actually is quite common. Good news is it's quick. Bad news is squirrels get fried. They've had a tough year this year. There's too many of them.
We lost power briefly at the station yesterday.
Yeah,
We
and
don't
I
know
said
why,
R.I.P.
but-
squirrel.
You did.
Will
yeah.
we still have the water skiing squirrel, though, come Christmas time?
Yeah, it won't be the same one.
I
but there'll be
feel
one
like
there.
the answer to that is
Yeah.
yes. I also feel like News Center 5:30 is about to start,
It
so we
is.
should probably go check that out. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks, guys.